Hey, today we've got massive news about the Terminids because the developers at Arrowhead revealed that the bugs are about to invade the bot planets. The community manager discussed why the patch notes did not have the nerfs. Not only that, we'll discuss the major order because there's a possibility we'll fail it, and there's much more to talk about. Please support the channel by tapping the like button and subscribing with notifications on if you haven't already. The Arrowhead developers just revealed a sneak peek yesterday at both the battle station and a bot planet that has something strange going on in the background. If you haven't seen the clip, let's go ahead and check it out. The clip that you're looking at currently on X, where the developers threw in the battle station as well as this right here, that clearly looks like a bunch of shriekers in the background. Seems normal, except there's a freaking automaton structure in the background as well. We're actually going to be fighting against both the Terminids and the automatons at some point, which is insane. So my question for you all is, how do you feel about this? Let me know by posting a comment below. That aside, what I'm wondering is, will the bots and the bugs form some sort of temporary union where they make a peace treaty, or will we be fighting against both the bots and the bugs while the bugs are fighting the bots and vice versa? If so, that's going to be a complete all-out war between two different factions, and I cannot wait to see how this turns out. Also, if you're like me, you're probably wondering, how could something like this happen? Well, I do have two ideas on how this will go down. So I'm thinking the Terminid spore cloud is about to extend out further than I had previously imagined. See, I thought the spore cloud was eventually going to get sucked up into the Meridia's black hole, similar to how the super colony did, and that would be it. Yet maybe that's not the case. The spore cloud might end up over on the bot planets temporarily, but the only problem with that is that we know the spore cloud is quite dangerous, considering Super Earth could not send anyone in there because they would not come back. They even tried sending in a probe and it did nothing. The other reason the bugs could be on the bot planets might be because the bots somehow find a way to extend their sector far enough that the gloom doesn't necessarily spread over to the automaton sectors, but instead the Terminids are able to send some of the bugs onto those planets because of how close they are. If that's not the case, maybe there's something else that plays a part in it. If so, I have no clue as to what it is. Those are my two ideas on how this happens. If you have a clue as to what's going on and how the Terminids and automatons end up on one planet, I'd like to know and we could discuss in the comments. I'll be keeping an eye out for your response, and I can't wait to see what your thoughts are on this. So if you look right here, it says, the DSS will be a powerful strategic tool for reshaping the galactic map, democratically directed by the Helldivers themselves. To achieve this, an orbital construction site must be secured. Two planets have a large enough magnetosphere for safe construction, Gallivare and Clausa. Both are under automaton control, the final choice of which to liberate is left to the Helldivers. During construction, the DSS will be extremely vulnerable to attack, so long-term defensibility is paramount. Yeah, so even if we complete the major order, we still have to defend it while it's being built, which is pretty crazy because it sounds like the developers are basically suggesting that if we are not successful, the whole entire battle station could be compromised, in other words, destroyed. I think there's a good chance we'll succeed with the major order and the newly built battle station. Yeah, the only problem is that I think we're going to come very close to completing it, or there's a good chance we might eventually fail it, which would be the worst case scenario. So if you're wondering, why do I think we're going to come close to failing it, the fact is, there are mostly bug divers compared to bot divers as of making this video. If we continue at this rate, there is a possibility we could fail. If you're frequently diving on bug planets, could you please for the time being, avoid the right side and go to the left where all the bots are. This matters way more than any major order we've ever had. If you're not too sure what the battle station is, in the leaked files, there are mentions of this being a new clan system. There's a lot that they could do with this, like provide some extra cool little goodies with it, like a new banner, armor, colors to pick from that you can assign to your armor. I mean, there's a lot they can do with this. I know for sure there was some string text that talked about an emblem editor, which I'm excited for. You're going to be able to invite players, kick players, and even promote some that have special ranks tied to them. Some games in the past have done something similar this way. You can tell which players has a higher rank with more privileges and can most likely have permissions to invite, kick, and so forth. The one feature I'd like to see the devs implement is some sort of rank system for the whole clan, where the more planets you help liberate or missions you complete would provide your clan with XP, new ranks, and maybe some rewards. I'd also like to see a mini major order, or they could call it clan orders, to help with XP. This way it gives the clan more incentive to try and level up. On a different note, yesterday, PlayStation hosted a live stream for State of Play where they showcased a few games, and to be fair, it was a bit lackluster. I was definitely disappointed, but aside from that, they actually revealed something right at the start for Astro Bot and Helldivers. I know that might not be what you were expecting to hear, yet it does involve Helldivers too. They're planning on releasing a DLC for Astro Bot that will feature a Helldiver Astro Bot, and it looks incredible. If you're a fan of both Astro Bot and Helldivers, then expect this free DLC sometime in fall 2024, of course, this year. We are now going to take a short break from the news because if you don't know, there's an interesting glitch going around where you can escape out of the destroyer using an elevator and an emote glitch. The steps are fairly simple. All you need to do is head over to the front of the ship, right about here. You want to sort of sprint sideways, like I do, and at this point you should be walking upwards, aka doing the elevator glitch. Once you're at the top, stop because you'll be on an invisible barrier. Now we're going to do the emote glitch. All you have to do is spam tap the emote button while walking forward, and you should begin to fly or float across towards the hellpods. You can actually float all the way towards the window, or if you catch yourself on top of the hellpod barrier, you can just jump forward, and you'll be out of bounds. You can actually capture some really cool photos and take a look at the scenery. It's a harmless glitch that I thought was interesting. I don't know who the real founder is, but I saw this from a player on Reddit named Jin for Spin. If you thought this was interesting, let me know by tapping the like button below. We are now going to look at a response from the community manager that provides a bit more insight into why they didn't reveal some of the nerfs and buffs in the patch notes when they released the big update sometime last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Anyways, this player wanted to know why they're nerfing things again after a big update, and this was Twinbeer's response. There wasn't. These were changes in that patch that we failed to include in the patch notes. This wasn't stealth nerfing nor stealth buffing, simply we'll call it suboptimal structure. That's definitely fair. Some changes weren't written in the right place, thus not being included. Some changes led to other unintentional changes, and some were simply forgotten. I wanted to highlight them since we were asked about them daily. To be honest, I thought it was obvious that this was already in the game, but I clearly should have emphasized that. In terms of getting all the changes in the patch notes, it's up to us to improve on that going forward, but again, the changes mentioned here were already in the game in the last patch. It's important to clarify that. Have a nice one. I didn't really find the nerfs too crazy, but I know a lot of you were a bit upset about the HMG or some of the things they didn't announce. But yeah, overall, I think this stuff happens to a lot of developers where, you know, they may miss a few patch notes. Mistakes happen. I'm not going to go overboard here. Obviously, they're improving, so again, I'm not going to crap all over the situation because honestly, the last patch was amazing. It still is amazing, and I don't find these nerfs as nerfs. I find them more just like small or slight changes. But again, I know a lot of you were upset about it, but hey, you know, at least we got some buffs, right? The worst case scenario, they could have nerfed everything and then we wouldn't have anything. Alright, that aside, let's now talk about the Peach 9 armor from the Viper Commando War Bond. There's a player on Reddit who made a comparison between the original concept of the armor's appearance before its release and the current version we have now. To be fair, the original design looks substantially better. The shoulder pads on the left and right side of the armor are better design-wise in my opinion. The other armor, called PH202, has shoulder pads on the left side and that's it, but it looks great as well. So it would be nice to see Arrowhead revert this version because I like to use the one with the shoulder pads. What are your thoughts on this? Should they revert the change so there are shoulder pads again, or should they keep it how it is? Let me know in the comments below. We should now talk about the CCO and creative director, Mr. Pillistead, who has been playing Helldivers 2 quite extensively. If you check out the member list on the right side of the Helldivers 2 Discord, you'll see that Pillistead has accumulated over 108 hours of playtime without stopping, and the hours continue to count up. Now, do I really believe he's spreading that much democracy without logging off? No, but I do have a feeling he or the team might be testing something related to connectivity, or perhaps a feature that will be included at some point. It's gotta be something, right? If not, then he must be the real legendary John Helldiver that everyone has been talking about for ages now. Okay, on a different topic, last time and even today we talked about the developers' nerf and buff announcement. They basically informed us yesterday about some of the nerfs and buffs that were not included in the previous patch. Well, I've got some more unannounced changes that they didn't confirm publicly just yet. The news I've collected is all from a site called helldivers.io, where they have a database of weapons and stratagems that have been changed after the update, and they tell you the exact stats as well. With that being said, I'm going to show you the stats before and after the changes for the stratagems. The first one on the list is the Eagle Strafe and Run. Before the big patch, this stratagem had a projectile damage of 300 and a durable damage of 100. This has since changed to 350 damage and 200 durable damage. It's a slight increase in damage with the same armor penetration. Continuing on, the next buff is for the Eagle Napalm Airstrike. If you haven't used this in quite some time, which I wouldn't expect many of you to, especially given the recent major order. However, this stratagem used to have 500 damage and 500 durable damage. Well, it received a significant buff by increasing the damage to 1,500, effectively tripling the original amount. The third and fourth changes are for the Orbital 120mm HE Barrage and the Orbital 380mm HE Barrage. Starting with the 120mm, the damage and durable damage were previously 300, and since the recent update, the developers have increased it to 2,500 damage. If you compare that to the Orbital 380, it's much stronger than the Orbital 120mm, of course. Prior to this update, the Orbital 380 damage was 450, and now it's 3,500 damage. Yeah, it's crazy. It's awesome to see how much they've changed, and it's a good thing. I'm surprised by the damage numbers. When you see them, it's like viewing from a whole new perspective, essentially. It would be interesting to see if the developers at Arrowhead have, any plans on providing us with more stats to look at, both stratagems and weapons. I personally enjoy looking at the stats and comparing weapons. I think it's something we could definitely use. And last but not least, let's take a look at the Orbital Precision Strike. Now, this was great before, and it still is, but it's even better. So what they've done with this specifically for the durable damage and damage, it's 450. Now they've changed it to 3,500, and that's a lot of damage. So it's a lot better now, and I think that's probably due to, how they've increased some of the enemy's health, which, if so, that makes sense. But it's a lot better now. Way better than it was before. Now, I will include one more because I feel like this one you guys might be curious about. The Orbital Laser has actually also received a buff. Previously, the damage per second was 300, 150, and they have now changed it to 600. So it's a lot more stronger damage-wise per second. Way better now. And I mean, sure, it doesn't seem like a lot because they're increasing it to 300, or 300 more, I should say, because it's 600 now. But the reason for that is because that's damage per second. So if they were to change it to, like, let's say 1,000 or 2,000, that would be a little bit overboard. I think at that point, it would be practically instantly killing anything on the field. So this right here is actually a great buff. So yeah, those right there, those are the buffs that have not been announced just yet. I'm not entirely sure if the developers are ever planning to tell us more about it, but hey, at least you guys kind of have a better idea now. If you have seen one of my previous videos, not yesterday's video, but one before, where I've talked about some of the buffs, those buffs actually came out to be true because when we checked out the announcement page yesterday, all the buffs I had talked about previously are the same ones that the developers have brought up. So this right here, all the information I'm talking about in today's video is all accurate. And yeah, so these are some of the buffs that were not announced. With that being said, if you have any questions about today's video, let me know in the comments below, because right now we're going to talk about the top 3 comments from the last video. And if you guys would like to be featured in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below. The first comment is by I'm X Defective. I just clicked on the video and one of the first words I hear is nerf. Nerf has become one of my trigger words. No kidding, right? I even commented on this post saying that we've received so many nerfs at this point that it's essentially haunting. The next comment is by this player right here named Distracted1306. You missed the most important patch note. General Brash was promoted to Super 10-star General after the latest personal shield generator confusion. And last but not least, we have Pogger Jin 1937. Not really sure why they would get rid of AP bonus for the railgun. The big selling point of overcharging was to penetrate more armor. those are the top 3 comments. If you guys would like to be featured in the next video, remember, all you have to do is comment down below. With all the information being said in today's video, have a great day, guys. I appreciate all the support that you guys truly give. And if you haven't already, support the channel by subscribing and turning on notifications. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one.